Welcome to the original rock and wrestling radio show. Welcome to Beyond Ringside, your source for wrestling, MMA, and boxing in the Southeast. To contact the Ringside Roundtable of Beyond Ringside, email them at beyondringside@gmail.com. And now, your host for Beyond Ringside, the man, no myth, all legend, Fast Eddie Layne.
Welcome into the program. Welcome into the simulcast. All of the above. Welcome into Beyond Ringside Live. Fast Eddie Layne live from Studio One. Catching everybody on the road, going to multiple location stations. Like to welcome in tag team partner MaBo Bowman.
Dude, can't you see we're trying to have like a tender moment?
Yes,
and
I understand.
Feeling before we have to get into character, and you're messing everything up.
Oh, so you're saying I killed kayfabe?
Pretty much.
I'll take that one, because everybody who kills kayfabe ends up being a millionaire by the time that they get ready to croak. Like to welcome in tag team partner, the Oracle of Ominous, the Wicked Nemesis.
It is actually the pursuit of essence upon which we are all accomplished and, of course, graded on.
If that's the case, they'd have to come up with new failing letters for me to go ahead and plunk this course all over again. First off, thank you to everybody listening in through BeyondRingside.com, through the TuneIn radio app, through the Beyond Ringside radio app, through Ustream, Shoutcast, WinAmp, and more ways than I stopped counting when I had to go to the next hand. I forgot what number came next. Also, listening on the replay side, thank you to everybody who's been catching us through iTunes and all the different methodologies. And please keep your eyes open on BeyondRingside.com. We were having a conversation off air, and I've got the 800-pound gorilla in the room coming up a little bit later on, but I want to go ahead and bring this one out now. And we were talking...
Eddie.
Yes?
That's no way to talk about your ex like that.
Which one?
Any of them sit there and call them 800-pound gorillas? That's
okay. No, that would be the 3-2 pitch with a B. Don't even try it. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, there's 3 of your signature phrases for the day. The Beyond Ringside drinking game for the week is when Eddie hits 5 signature phrases, drink a double shot. To hell with the singles. Been single way too long. We were bringing up Adam Rose off there in the E60 for NXT, and I'm going to bow out because I haven't seen the E60 that was done. I keep hearing great things about it, and I just have not either had or made time, and that's just being completely honest about it. By the way, don't forget you can catch us on email at beyondringside@gmail.com, and the chat room is open over at .com today. I'll be checking in the chat in just a couple of minutes. Now, let's bring this one back into play because we started this discussion a few weeks back and we kind of let it go off to the wayside. It was about Adam Rose. And MaBo, you were bringing up the concept that the gimmick was gangbusters down at NXT, but just never seemed to fly on the main roster, or at least had limited flight capability on the main roster. Go ahead and take it from where you were leaving off a minute ago.
Well, I mean, it's just something. I mean, everybody who says that, NXT itself is not a developmental league or what you want to call it. Like what you see now on the network, that's pretty much a whole separate roster. I wouldn't even say it's a whole separate company because it's a completely different beast altogether. What gets over and works down there, and yes, it might be limited seating. But you also got to realize it's not just the people in attendance; it's the fans who watch it still glom onto it.
Right.
And they loved that whole, all the snow type, gimmick that Adam Rose, party time all the time. That he first started doing when he come down with the dancers and or his party people or whatever, his rosebuds. It just blew up, and I mean, it couldn't have been just the people in the audience. Because I sat there and watched it, and I was like, this is amazing. I was like, this is great. Because it brought back to mind, and this was just for me, maybe it did for other people, depending on what generation you grew up with, whether it was Rico Constantino when he was doing his shtick, or, Exotic Adrian Street.
Thank you.
That's who I immediately thought of. When he would come out, the way he moved, he pranced, he, talked and everything. And he even credits that. He even credits Exotic Adrian Street as being one of the influences for it. That's what it brought to me, but it brought mine to me, and you just see, it was, and the entrance was like one of a kind, and it's not just, it's like I said, you can argue and say, it's just, and I wouldn't even say it's 3,000 seats. I mean, it might be smaller than that, but you could sit there and say that, just the people there, but I glommed onto it. There's other people I know that watched NXT that glommed onto it. Same thing with the Ascension. Now, the Ascension, though, I think WWE, they tweaked a little too much when they brought them up to the main roster and had them say some things that they would have never said down at NXT.
Right.
But yeah, it's just, I don't understand how it didn't catch on. I don't know if, I'm not going to say I'm not trying to say it in the negative sense, but I don't know if just your main roster audience isn't smart enough. And I don't mean, just to understand, to appreciate that type of character. And, I'm not breaking kayfabe when I say the man's name. It was on the damn special, but Ray LaPon, I remember seeing him when it was FCW. I would try to catch it on, YouTube or what have you, when he was Leo Kruger and not the weird Skinner-esque, big game hunter Leo Kruger. When he was doing a similar to the Alberto Del Rio sort of aristocrat kind of thing, when he was doing the South African aristocrat, even then he was great, and people, I remember and this always stood out to me, and I thought it was excellent. He was doing a segment with Abraham Washington. I guess they just sent him back down to repackage him or whatever.
Right.
And they were going back and forth, doing a little promo thing. And for some reason, they had Washington as face. I don't know why. But Leo Kruger looks at Abraham Washington, and he goes, well, I guess I'm the only real African here, seeing as how he's legitimately from South Africa. And Abraham Washington just, slapping the crap out of him. But, it was just that smug, he had that smug smarminess that Del Rio tried to pull off, and it didn't quite work. That Barrett, when he first started, tried to pull off, and it didn't quite work. And, I've been a big proponent of, hopefully that's the right word, I think it's the right word, of Leo Kruger, whatever you want to call him, Adam Rose. So I don't understand something like that. It didn't. I guess it didn't translate. I don't know if people just didn't get it. I mean, there were some people, and at first it really did. You could hear the crowd; they were going along with it. They were doing the oh. They were singing along. They were dancing. But I don't know. I guess they just didn't. I guess when it came down to it, the WWE, they brought him up. They were like, okay, great, everybody's having fun with him. What do we do now? And then eventually people just grew tired of him, I guess. They didn't. To me, it just seemed like they didn't know what to do with him. And then, as you know, when WWE kind of gives up on you, if they don't have you out there, if they don't have you in something intriguing, then the crowd forgets you. That's just my opinion, though.
Okay. Wicked Nemesis, your thoughts on the matter?
I boil it down to environment. NXT is very controlled. NXT is getting guys and girls ready for what they consider sports entertainment. Wrestling is still what's going on at NXT, and we all know what works in wrestling doesn't necessarily work in sports entertainment. Adam Rose gimmick, you have some guy that is kind of lighthearted, likes to party a little bit. That's great to have in wrestling. But when it comes to sports entertainment, you had to have a broader spectrum. A lot of people don't even know who Russell Brand is, and I feel that Adam Rose's character is if Russell Brand was a wrestler. That's the way he would be. You talk about the smugness and all that. First of all, let's look at what actually, quote unquote, is over in the WWE. Bray Wyatt, very Dan Spivey-ish, very cultish, very out there. You don't always understand his promos. Sounds like somebody we know, but you look like the Undertaker once again, the Dead Man, a man that come out with purple gloves and slowly worked his way to what we know today. John Cena come out originally as a prototype, then come as John Cena to WWE, and then proceeded to make himself into a white rapper. It's all about what you take in and what you're able to produce, not only in the ring, but what you're able to project to the fans. And in the WWE environment, they're not ready for some happy-go-lucky guy like Bo Dallas. Bo Dallas, amazing gimmick. But fans just didn't latch onto it. And I think it goes back to environment. NXT, a lot of those people know who those people are because most of the NXT roster spent years on the independent scene, so they already have a fan base built in to what they're doing. Also, when you look at what NXT is doing, they have some of the best athletes and some of the best talent out there in wrestling. So when you're able to do a gimmick and able to go and have great matches, that speaks volumes. Maybe Adam Rose wasn't ready to come up. Maybe once again, like you said, it was one of those, we don't have anything for you, and then this spawned. But some of the best gimmicks have come like that. Stone Cold, The Rock, even Bray Wyatt was basically his own idea. When you listen to his interview with Stone Cold, he tells you everything that was right, what he did, what his father added to it, what Dusty Rhodes added to it, and of course what Dan Spivey added to it. You know, he was able to talk to Dan about it. It all goes back to your environment and what you have behind you. If you have the machine behind you, they'll make you get over to a certain extent, but it's up to the individual to be able to make that instant connection, because we all know you only get one chance to make a first impression.
Amen.
Adam Rose stuff was good. My problem was whenever the bunny came out, the wrestling bunny, Darren Young, I guess, was the one that was under it. When all that happened, when your bunny is getting over more than you are, there's a problem.
Packaging and presentation always mean the most. It doesn't matter if you're working in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, in Pell City, Alabama, in Vidalia, Georgia. It doesn't matter if you're working with WWE or Ring of Honor, TNA, Lucha Underground, Chikara, Absolute Intense, Prime out of Ohio. Packaging and presentation mean everything. And here's the thing about it. I was skittish and skeptical. Okay, I was not skeptical. I can't use that word. But I was just guardedly optimistic that they could pull off the Adam Rose character on the main roster. And I had not been watching that much NXT at that point. And I remember basically Mark Bowman going off on me like there was no tomorrow in the exact words saying, "You say one negative word about Adam Rose, I will crawl through this line and I will kick your ass." Almost fell on the floor. You were extraordinarily passionate, MaBo, about that individual. And
oh yeah, because I mean, I enjoyed him, and like I said, it's just, you know, he might not have connected with, you know, other people, but he connected with me. Did I ever see him as someone who would be main eventing? No. I was realistic about that. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure if you ask him, he'd be like, the Adam Rose gimmick, main eventing, going for the strap? You know, no. But I think he would have done phenomenal as an Intercontinental. Excuse me, I'm eating Bojangles chicken.
There you go.
He would have done phenomenal as an Intercontinental champion. You know, and it's just, I just sometimes, and I know, you know, like I said, I'm just one opinion amongst, you know, millions who watch the program and the product, but it's just, you know, it's just, I think, and I agree with Wicked that when they brought the bunny out, that was the nail in the coffin, so to speak, because he didn't have the bunny originally in NXT. He had like a cheeseburger. But
the cheeseburger would have been funnier.
It was a cheeseburger bunny. No, he had a guy in, I think it was a guy in a cheeseburger costume, if I remember, or a hot dog. But it wasn't used in the sense that the bunny was like, yeah, the cheeseburger, we'll go with cheeseburger, was used maybe to, like, I know somebody attacked it after Adam Rose beat him, but, you know, the cheeseburger was never back to wrestle. And that was the problem, was somebody, I guess, probably Vince, knowing his weird sense of humor, was like, hey, let's get the bunny to wrestle. So, yeah, once the bunny started wrestling, then I was like, nah. But if they would have just left Adam Rose alone and didn't try to bring the bunny to the forefront and fill the spotlight, I think that it would have worked a lot better.
I agree 100% on that. But you can't have. I'm sorry. I just scared to hit you jump. You can't have your background players overshadow your main players, and that's exactly what they did. They let a bunny and all these guys overshadow Adam Rose instead of it being an extension or, or background. Nope, they want to put it to the forefront. You can't do that. It's just like why a manager shouldn't overshadow anybody that, not tall-wise, because everybody knows overshadow, but their personality should not overshadow anything that's going on with a quote-unquote main guy or girl.
The weird thing about that is there are times when it's unavoidable that a good manager will shine brighter than good talent.
Bobby Heenan.
Yes. And the complete antithesis of this comment is somebody like Truth Martini, who seems like he always tries too hard. When you try to put yourself on the same level as someone with the talent and the expertise as Jay Lethal, ain't gonna happen when you've got the limited personality that Truth Martini has. I'm sorry. Now, he's gotten better.
But see, here's the thing, Eddie, you know this. And I know we're pulling back the curtain a little bit, and now you can blame me for breaking kayfabe, but I've had people come to me with storylines that were centered around me, and I said, why? Well, you're doing this here. And I'm a manager. Trained as a wrestler, but I'm a manager. There's no reason that a storyline should be about just a manager unless it's for a bigger build-up. Unless you're bringing something to the table down the road. And once again, that goes to booking and setting it up. And, I mean, when I have been accused of overshadowing my talent as well, and I'm like, I'm conscious of this, and it wasn't supposed to be that way when I was younger, especially with Bishop and I. We're family, so there was no problem with that. But eventually it comes to the point where you're like, well, they're chanting Wicked in the middle of a match when Bishop's in the ring. I'm like, no, Bishop,
Yeah.
But you have to be able, as a real man, if you're a real manager, you have to go to that person and be like, this doesn't make sense. I shouldn't be the center of this storyline. I shouldn't be overshadowed. I shouldn't have done this. We have an entire roster of guys that my job as a manager is to put them over. It's not to put myself over. If I get over, I can't do anything about that. We look at exactly what's happening at GCW right now.
Yep.
The fans were the ones that did that. But it was unavoidable because whenever I go out and I'm like, I can't believe I'm hearing people like, yay! I want to eat your babies. Yay, not my firstborn. I was like, okay. But, we all saw it coming. We all saw the Sevenfold Saints babyface turn coming. It was like me cussing on the air that night. It was like a Mack truck coming through. You see it, and it's unavoidable. It's too late. You just have to sit there and close your eyes and pray to God that Dudley Do-Right saves you. I don't know. Nobody gets Dudley Do-Right jokes, but,
I'll get you, Snidely Whiplash.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brendan Fraser.
Nell, meet Horse. Horse, meet Nell. Nell, Horse and I are going to the movies Saturday night.
That is oh my goodness, man. That whole little thing. And once again, that's going back to old school.
60s.
It's the mentality. You guys know this. Wrestling is all about how you were trained.
Yep.
And thank God I had the trainers I did.
And I'm going to go ahead and pull it back a little bit more as far as the curtain goes, because leading into Global Warfare, there were comments made by different individuals that tried to make it, like PTB Foundation versus Team Layne. Look, I don't care about being... Okay, I like and I appreciate when my character can make a positive contribution, but naming it Team Layne, unless there is another... If it would have been Team Kaz versus Team Layne, I could have handled that. Team Teddy versus Team Layne, I could have handled that. But the PTB Foundation as an entity versus Team Layne, I didn't feel did anything to benefit the company. I didn't think it benefited...
Well, I was the one that did that. I was the one that started that, and the reason why
you weren't the only one
is because I felt that people were forgetting the fact of where all this began. The chair shot and them attacking you is where all this began.
Right.
And I said that on air just for the casual listener to come in and be like, what? But, I mean, obviously, you were exactly right. The Spirit of GCW was an amazing name. Yeah. But I was one that said call it Team Layne because I felt that people were forgetting where all this started or where the central point of the storyline was.
Well,
in that part, you were the central point of the storyline, Eddie, because if they hadn't attacked you, we wouldn't have hit the ring. No, we wouldn't have done any of that.
I noticed nobody did come down to the ring to save my ass, so now when I had to hobble back by myself, I hate all you.
Okay, fine. I can't do that with a straight face. I'm sorry.
But well, it's not like somebody choked you out with a sleeper hold in the middle of the ring,
Yeah, there you go. Well, no, that would be Micah Taylor choking me out in the middle of a ring in a sleeper hold.
Yep.
Son of a bitch got me twice, and actually one I'm not going to talk about. But the short version of the story, the short end of the story is, now I'm pulling the curtain back a little bit more on this one, and I'm going to make it short and sweet. There was actually a production meeting in front office to where that was brought up, Team Layne. And I said, look, with all due respect, I mean, I appreciate it. And I relayed to them the exact thing I just said on air a second ago. I said, I appreciate it. The main thing that I always want is to make sure that my character makes a positive contribution to the show. Let me do something that makes the company look good. Let me do something that makes the storylines look good. And, you know, I'm good. Even if I have to take a freaking mini concussion or whatever it takes. I mean, verbal, physical, it doesn't matter. If it works for the show, then I'm pretty much all in favor of it.
But Eddie, you're one of the few ring announcers, with the exception of perhaps Tristan Michaels, that people know you. Like when you walk in, people are like, "Oh, something good's about to happen," because they brought in Eddie Layne. And then, of course, the announcers go and they cry and run butthurt to the promoters. We've been there 3 different times.
We have.
But that once again, that's your work doing for yourself, your environment. You have been put into an environment, and you have worked very well to put yourself into this environment to where you're able to do that and not overshadow somebody, but still bring something to the table. You're right now, I know you trained as a manager, you trained as a wrestler. Right now, you're an announcer. That puts you 15 steps ahead of everybody by being able to do that. And once again, it goes just like Adam Rose. He had something going. He had something in NXT, which was over tremendously.
Yeah.
Gets to the main roster, and then it starts to get watered down. It gets watered down here. It gets watered down there. It gets watered down there.
And thank you for bringing...
But you're at a point in your career where you can be like, no, that doesn't make sense. Adam Rose isn't, especially on that. And if you've seen, I saw part of the E60, and I was almost in tears with what was going on with his son. And, you know, that's the part that is completely forgotten about, is that most of us have families. Most of us, you know, have stuff that we do. You know, we're trying to provide. I make a damn good living off wrestling, thank God. I used to not, but now I do, and it's thanks to everybody in the environment that I have been around and been able to go and actually be Wicked Nemesis and not a watered-down version of it.
Right.
And I don't know where that watered down comes from. I think it's water. That just happened live on air. But MaBo, you've been a fan of independent wrestling long enough. You know guys that are always there until and then they get called up to the WWE or they get called up to TNA or Ring of Honor. So you're able to see these guys. What do you think it is? Do you think it's the charisma, the it factor, the environment that is able to have some of these people transition into the quote unquote the big stage?
Well, I can tell you right now, as far as there's some that they have the wow factor as far as their moveset. You know, they take those high-risk spots. Everybody goes, woo! Prime example is Adrian Neville. I mean, he earned the nickname, and that's not, and the nickname, the man that gravity forgot, is not something WWE came up with. Don't let them fool you. They may have trademarked it now.
Yeah.
They may have gotten that from him, but when he was Pac, wrestling from over in the UK,
right?
I can't tell you how many VHS or DVDs that I have where he is on the show, or he's even mentioned. He's not even on the show, but you know, it's some kind of cruiser junior light heavyweight match when they're like, they just happen to name drop him, whether by accident or not, whatever. And they say, they talk about Pac, the man that gravity forgot. When he got to NXT, he's wowed everybody. It was amazing. Not saying he has a limited mic, set of mic skills, but he just doesn't have. His charisma is in the ring in what he does. On the mic, I think maybe it's because you can't understand him because of his accent. Whatever. Well, I'm serious, but if you don't really understand that Geordie accent, then but kind of almost like with Wade Barrett, you can't really understand him until he's like, "Oh, I've got some bad news for you." What did he say? I don't know. He's got some bad news. I don't know. But you got Adrian Neville on the main roster now. That would be fine if he would go. He would be just ridiculously over if there was still a cruiser junior light heavyweight situation. There's not. So how long is he going to be able to last on the main roster with that red arrow or whatever? Yeah. I mean, if he doesn't have something else, if he doesn't have the mic skills to keep him noticed, how far can he go on his high-flying ability before he crashes and burns? Justin Gabriel, prime example. Justin Gabriel, hell of a high flyer. Hell of a high flyer. Where's he at now? I mean, he even went to WWE with some ideas, you know, some little change-up, but he didn't really have what it took on the mic. And at the point where he came to the, you know, hey, let me refresh in myself, it was pretty much too far gone, so they were just like, nah, you know what? You're good and all, kid, but, you know, and then I can't remember if he might have even asked for his release. I think he's the one that asked for his
release. He did,
He's like,
yeah,
you know
for his release.
Yeah, he's like, you're not going to do anything with me. You know, I'm going to go apply my trade elsewhere. And he's, you know, tearing it up and like Evolve and other places. He's tearing it up. So how long, I think I ate too much chicken. How long are we going to have Adrian Neville before he pulls, you know, he gets pulled and shoved into the Justin Gabriel spot? You know what I'm saying?
Here's my thing with Adrian. Adrian has a great look to him. When you look at him, he looks like he's chiseled out of granite. His in-ring work is so crisp. Nothing against Justin Gabriel, but Justin Gabriel was nothing but high-flying, and I feel that Neville isn't. Neville can high-fly, but he can also kick, he can take you to the mat, and he's able to do something that a lot of guys can't do. I want everybody to write this down and take it. He can tell a story. That's from years being in the independent scene and having to tell stories, because your life and your livelihood depends on them coming back for the next match and for the next week and to go to this promotion. I think that's what sets him apart from Justin Gabriel, is the fact that he can tell a story, and he is so crisp. And you look at him, Neville is so crisp. His kicks, his punches, his everything is just on point. You're like, holy crap. If you were 6 foot tall, you would be a champion right now. But I think with them having all these belts, I think he also has another opportunity to be able to have like an Intercontinental, have the United States title, able to have the tag team title, something like that. I think eventually he will be a heavyweight champion. He may be a world champion in the next 3 or 4 years, but right now with his mindset, with his in-ring ability, him being able to tell stories, I think the future is so bright for him. The sky is the limit instead of the limit being the sky.
Go ahead.
Well, hold on, Eddie. Hold on. And that's great for us, like you kind of brought up earlier with Adam Rose, that's great for pro wrestling. But, you know, I'm not saying, I'm not even going to put a percentage on it, but, you know, there's a lot of them that, you know, that go to the shows that are like, you know, that are impressed with his moveset, but then a lot of them are just like, you know, they want they want him to talk them back into the seats. And he's not there with that. And
absolutely not. But most of those guys are not. You know that, I know that, and Eddie knows that. Most of the guys that are in WWE could not cut a promo if their life depended on it unless it was completely scripted out for them. Completely scripted out. But to me, that is one of the things wrong with wrestling and sports entertainment, period, is the fact of not being able to cut a promo and not having managers there to be able to cut a promo for you or even to help out. You have Michael freaking P.S. Hayes there. You mean to tell me he can't have a class with these guys and sit them down and be like, here's how you cut a promo?
Well, I mean, when you got guys like, you know, down in developmental, and that's the thing is, developmental, they have Michael Hayes, they have Dusty Rhodes, and, you know, they have all these guest trainers that come in that can help them cut promos. And that's the thing is, they've got a little bit more advantage over those who just missed that spot down in NXT. You know, maybe the FCW guys and up to the OVW guys who really didn't have Dusty or Michael Hayes to do that. Well, you know, regardless of how you feel about Michael Hayes, no one can argue the fact that he's exceptional on the mic.
Yep.
So, I mean, I would put him toe-to-toe with a lot of the greats back in his day, you know, as far as cutting promos and stuff. There's a reason why he talked and Jimmy Garvin didn't. Awkward silence.
There we go. I was about to say that.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. What I was going to say is that the thing is teaching a person a promo and then teaching them how they can cut a promo. That's what it is. You guys know. Wait till you hear the promo, the video vignette that Leon, the Bull Stresser, and Dylan Cook did. I pulled them aside and told them, you need to stick to this point, you need to stick to this point. That was it. But somebody had to help them because Dylan has no charisma, and I told him this. No charisma. Great mat skills, no charisma. But somebody has to pull them aside. Somebody has to and be like, you need to stick to this point, you need to stick to this point. Leon, you're this. Dylan, you're this. Run with it. But cutting a promo for someone to be like, hey, this sounds good, read this, is not teaching them anything because they're not going to retain it. You know that. Everybody knows that, unless you're a history major.
And I agree because it's easy to teach someone a promo, and then they actually end up, when you teach it to them, they end up almost doing it in your own, whoever taught them, and then the person, anybody who's watched wrestling for any amount of time, they're going to go, oh, well, that's a dead-on Stone Cold promo, or that's a dead-on
Dusty.
It might not even be the words, but it's just how you convey it. That might be that's The Rock right there. But if you could teach someone how to, it's the old axiom of give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach him how to fish, feed him for a lifetime.
Right.
Give a person a promo, they get over for the night. Teach them how to cut a promo, they'll get over for the rest of their career.
Amen.
Do me a favor. We're going to go ahead to the actually top of the hour break. I can't believe half hour flew by as fast as it did. I'm going to leave you on this note because I'm going to give the credit for the soundbite of the week to NASCAR's most popular driver. And here's something, not kidding, what Dale Earnhardt Jr. said at Pocono today.
Yeah, I'm just watching out in the window there. I look out the front, and sometimes I look out the back.
This is Dr. Tom Pritchard, and if you want to listen to the best in professional wrestling, get locked in to Beyond Ringside.
When planning your next party or special event, insist on the best. Full Range Entertainment is a professional entertainment company providing a full range of services. From professional disc jockeys and MCs to catering and photography, when the details of your special day must be perfect, call us first. Wedding receptions, corporate parties, school functions, birthday celebrations, and more. We also have Birmingham's largest selection of karaoke tracks available. With over 40 years combined experience, Full Range Entertainment can provide you with the talent and professionalism you need and deserve to make your next event one you'll never forget. For more information on the full range of services we offer, call 533-HITS. That's 533-HITS. Or check us out on our website at fullrangeentertainment.com.
Oh, yes! This is Paul Bearer, and some people call me Percy Pringle III. You're locked in to Beyond Ringside.
The To Be Determined show live Wednesday nights, 9 Central Standard Time. Join myself, the Oracle of Ominous, the Wicked Nemesis, the Grand Design, Clyde Braddock, and the Magic City Runner, Fast Eddie Layne, as we take you to the edge of uncensored. Yes, we go uncensored, so make sure you have your earmuffs. Ask your parents, for those of you that are a little young, maybe under 18, but make sure if you have any heart conditions or any mental defects, please listen, because they may take effect right here live every Wednesday night, 9 Central Standard Time. Beyond Ringside Radio Network, beyondringside.com.
This is Dan the B7, the only Triple Crown champion in the UFC history, and you're listening to Beyond Ringside. You better pay attention, otherwise I know where you live.
Do you like beer? Do you like business? Do you like businesses that make beer? Then you'll love this new show. It's the Beer Trail Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Price, and we're going to travel through the world of craft beer and talk to the breweries and see how they got started and what inspired them to make their beer. So check it out at thebeertrailpodcast.com and tell your friends, and I hope to see you on the trail.
Hello, everybody out there. This is Universal Soldier Phil Shatter, also TNA Gunner. 2 years in the making as NWA National Heavyweight Champion, making my way to the top as #1 in the world. And you are locked in to Beyond Ringside.
Set ready to roll 8 minutes after the top of the hour. Welcome back into Beyond Ringside live on this Sunday, June 7th, 2015. Fast Eddie Layne, Mark MaBo Bowman, the Oracle of Ominous, the Wicked Nemesis. Do you want to go ahead and jump it straight into the question you were asking as we were going? Did you ask the question as we were going to break, or ask the question when we were in break?
Soon as we were in break, I was getting ready to ask it before we went to break. I asked you guys off there, who do you think is the best promo today in wrestling? And like I said, cut Paul Heyman out of it, because he is so far ahead of everybody. And we had a nice little discussion about it off air once again.
There you go.
We should do one of the things where you pay like 99 cents or $1.99 to get all the off air stuff.
Oh boy.
MaBo, best person to cut a promo in the business today.
Well, if we're going to continue discussions, like I kind of broke it down into 3 categories. One, up and comers. I would say Bray Wyatt. I mean, just they talk about him, how he's, just hypnotic, and he, people kind of follow him and everything. And it's 100% true. I mean, like, when he speaks, you take notice, because he just entrances you. And to me, it's awesome. But if you're going to go established, main roster, been doing it as much as like I said, think he's a hell of a guy. What he did for that cancer kid this past Monday night, I thought was, I cried. Not gonna lie, cried like a little biatch. But John Cena, I mean, limited skill set, and before that he actually used to have a pretty good skill set. But then, of course, WWE. I'm sure told him to limit it, less is more, yada, 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 whatever spiel they give people. But, it's just, his mic skills are just, to me, whether you like him or you don't like him, when John Cena starts off on a promo, whether he wants to be serious Cena, where he's all, when he starts doing that, or when he's coming out smiling and grinning and cracking jokes, he gets your attention. And to me, that's a lot of what is necessary, it seems, to control or to captivate today's audience. But then we were also talking about some veterans who, they're still around. They don't wrestle as much, but you still see them. Chris Jericho, whether he's super serious Jericho, where he's fun-loving, yeah, come on, baby, Jericho. He's one of those, once again, that when he talks, he gets your attention. And that's the thing is, and it's, I guess as much as it's been touted on this show, I have the reputation of being someone that's very hard to, I'm not going to say hard to please, but I'm very critical of what's on TV, and almost stoic, if you will, like a photograph from the 1800s.
Say it, Wick.
Make me laugh, Batman.
There you go.
I just said that. I had to mute it over here laughing my ass off about that. I'm telling you, once again, I wish everybody had seen MaBo at SmackDown with his arms crossed. It just entertained me.
And it's not awesome.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. We laughed so hard at MaBo.
And you know what? They'll get the opportunity to see that probably once again coming in July.
July?
Yeah. Yeah, remember July? Have you not got your email?
No, I have not, sir.
Okay, we'll talk about that off air.
Okay.
Remember, we're not allowed to talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's a Chuck Palahniuk movie or something. But anyway, What's that going with it? Oh, it's just, yeah, I mean, it takes a lot, and that's how you get my attention. You can have all the flashy moves in the world, but if you can't talk me into watching your flashy moves, why, well, too bad.
Wick, same question, your direction.
With me, it's John Cena. John Cena can get anybody over. John Cena can tell a storyline. He can wrap up 3 or 4 months worth of storylines in one promo. He is the best today on the main roster. As MaBo and I had the exact same talk when it comes to the future. Bray Wyatt, sporadically Chris Jericho. The Stormtrooper bounce to this day. I was playing No Mercy the other day, and to this day, I still have the Stormtrooper bounce from there. So, Eddie, same question to you, sir.
That's a hard one because I'm looking at a number of different things right now as we're going over this. Yes, I'm going to have to go ahead and sit back and say this. Due to the fact that this individual can walk into Bizarro World, or he can walk into completely hostile territory and turn that crowd around like he's done the last, God, how many weeks in a row? Because y'all have heard me pop about the factor of this past Monday night on Raw when it was Kevin Owens and John Cena. Sorry, that was a legitimate slip. That wasn't me trying to pop the bubble. When it was Kevin Owens and John Cena, Kevin Owens comes out and just runs wild with the crowd. And actually, Kevin Owens can cut a damn good promo. Now he has to do it consistently. Cena takes exactly what Owens gave him and took what that crowd was giving him and turned everything right back around. And by the end of that promo, by the end of his microphone run, he had that crowd working with him. The week before, he did it again. The week before, he did it and in a bigger way because it was a truly hostile environment. This guy who a lot of people, yeah, you're right, 5 moves of doom. The moveset he works out nowadays is just like, pfft. And we all know if you followed Cena for an extended period of time, yeah, he can do better, he can do more. But, in this day and age, work smarter, not harder. That's why he's been in the E for as long as he has and stayed relatively healthy. Now, I'm going to add a name to this mix because I've heard this person through Wildside. I've heard this person through Power Pro, through a number of different companies, and through Ring of Honor. And when he isn't going at warp 11 like I'm known to, and I suffer the same affliction, Caprice Coleman cuts one of the best promos in the industry. I don't care who you are. I don't care what company you work for. You catch Caprice Coleman when he is in the middle of a good run on the microphone, it's on. He can run with the legends, plain and simple. There's one other name that I want to throw out there. Because of the style that he's using, I'm going to give props and give credit to Ethan Carter III, EC3 over on Impact Wrestling. Because of the simple fact, when they brought him out, very similar to the way that they brought out Y2J in the latter run, the latter days of WWE, when Jericho was the downplayed heel. You had to shut up and listen to what he said or you missed it, which I thought was a masterful move for Jericho because he's normally the party host. Ethan Carter III has taken that and run with that style. And there are times when Ethan can just pop a gasket on the microphone. There are times when he is smooth, cool, and mellow. And you have to listen to what he says. So I'm going to sit back and say a person who, yeah, as far as rising stars, as far as stars today, period. Now, I'm also going to give props to Austin Aries. But there are times when Austin Aries does what we all do, and that's force it a little bit too much. Even Flair forced it once or twice. I mean, let's be real about it. But if you want the best promo in the business, above Cena, above EC3, above Caprice Coleman, I got to give top of the line credit to El Torito. I have not heard El Torito cut a bad promo yet, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
Well, of course, Ric Flair forced it a time or two. Why do you think he's got all those lawsuits against him?
Oh.
But was that too tsunami?
Too tsunami.
But if we're gonna, I mean, if we want to dig, and you don't have to dig too far in the indies. One, Johnny Gargano. I would definitely say Johnny Gargano. And two, I don't know what he's going by now, but as far as what moniker he's using, but Joey Ryan.
Yeah.
Joey Ryan hell of a guy on the mic. Hell of a guy on the mic. I know right now he's in I think he's a PWG Tag Champions with Candice LeRae.
Okay.
I think. But yeah, those two, hell of a guy. Somebody who cuts a good promo on the mic, that always makes me laugh, because he's just so over the top. But Ultramantis Black over in Chikara.
Right.
He's always good for one. Also, he's great on the commentary. It's rare. He'll wrestle every now and then when need be, but he'll usually cover commentary for the DVDs, the pay-per-views, whatever. But they always usually rotate out. It just depends on who they have on. But yeah. And one guy who I've mentioned his name millions of times on here, and I'm gonna try to say it without crying, but Sweet and Sour Larry Sweeney. I honestly think, and people can agree, people can disagree, but I can almost guarantee you that if things did not turn bad with Larry, with what happened with Larry Sweeney in his life, and he was taken from us way too soon, he could have been the next generation of manager on television, whether it would have been, I don't know if Ring of Honor would have used him, because they had used him in the past, but I think if the right person would have noticed, especially in the WWE, I think that he would have been one of the first managers, because he was good in the ring. He was great on the mic. I think he would have been one of the first managers that would have been established in NXT. And like I said, people can agree, people can disagree. I can almost guarantee that if he would still be with us, he would be in NXT or just showing up on the main roster as a manager, and he could have been the resurgence and the renaissance of managers back on TV. Because we've said it before. To me, there needs to be managers on TV, because some of these guys just ain't working.
And there's a difference between manager and valet, because you can stick anybody out there walking down to the ring with somebody and they can valet all day long. But there is an art to being a manager in the world of pro wrestling. And that is also, and Wick is probably going to dive bomb me on this one because I know he's chomping at the bit because he knows where I'm going. There is an art form to being able to work a crowd, to work a microphone, and to build harmony in the situation where you are doing the right thing at the right time to continue the build on the match, the storyline, the heat, the shine, whatever, without taking away from it. And we have seen so many managers, or so-called managers, who do nothing more than deliberately overshadow their charges. And it's one thing to have a natural personality that shines through on a PA system and on a camera. It's an entirely different animal to go into business for yourself and outshine the show, so to speak. Wick, pop the cork.
Okay. Every manager can be a valet, but not every valet can be a manager. It is an art form. People forget about that. I would be doing a disservice to everyone if I didn't mention the best promo on the independent scene today, Jeff Bailey. Holy crap. You look at what Jeff Bailey has done consistently for the last the last 16 years. It is unreal, the promos he cuts. And the guys, here's the best thing about it. Some of the guys that he managed, he helped get over, are now champions. AJ Styles, excuse me, I'm sorry, just hiccuped on there. AJ Styles for one. AJ Styles will tell you, in our truth, without him, Bailey got him ready. A great promo and a great manager. Larry Sweeney was really, really good, and he could have totally changed how everything was looked at, but, things happen, life happens. It is one of those things that we all are worse off for him being gone, but there is a void for that. There is a void for managers. And everything that we've talked about, helping people get over, helping cut a promo, making sure that, they're like, hey, this doesn't make sense. That's what a real manager does. A valet is somebody that goes down there, has no training, decides to go and stand by and wants to hit the mat, wants to scream, wants to yell. And a lot of times, in case of the retarded peanut at UIW, he wants to cuss people. And then guys like me come over and let him know, you're a piece of trash. You shouldn't be here. And if I hear you cuss these fans one more time, I'm going to punch you in the face, because everybody knows if I can go without cussing, if I can get the heat that I do without cussing, anybody can. Agree or disagree? I mean, you guys tell me.
Shit, I'm in. What are you talking about?
Hey,
you knew
I mean, you guys know. You guys have seen enough. I mean, those of us right now on the radio. I've been watching wrestling since 1987, leading up to WrestleMania 3.
Damn,
you guys have been watching it longer than me. Angie's been watching it longer than me. Been around wrestling. Yeah. But some people just don't get it, and they never will. And it's just like every time I hear someone say, oh, this is their manager, I'm like, nope, no, you're not. You're a valet.
Well, let me dive in for a second, because I love how, and you have to give credit where credit is due on this one, because when everybody talks about their Mount Rushmore managers, they automatically whiplash whenever I say the words Gary Hart. He wasn't.
Why? And I don't know why. Gary Hart was amazing. Oh my God. Gary Hart is everybody knows my Mount Rushmore. Gary Hart is the most underrated guy, and
he really is.
The manager award at Georgia Wrestling History is called the Gary Hart Award.
Good.
Eventually, it will be called the Jeff Bailey Award,
probably, or the Hart Bailey Award.
But you are 100% correct, sir. Gary Hart, super underrated. Super underrated.
I mean, because Gary Hart had a unique sense of timing, to where he knew when to turn it up and when to dial it back. Because there was one day, and I still remember this day after all these years, on Georgia Championship Wrestling, Gordon Soley was interviewing Gary Hart with the great Kabuki. Because we knew Kabuki didn't talk. That's why he was interviewing Gary Hart. Psychology kids. And Kabuki was running down, Hart was running down Dusty Rhodes and running down Tommy Rich and running down, and just building up Kabuki like there was no tomorrow. Freddie Miller comes walking onto the set and goes, breaking news, the American Dream Dusty Rhodes has just pulled into the parking lot. Without batting an eyelash, without doing anything other than standing stone cold statue, Gary Hart just simply says, I have to go. I'll see you next week. And I was on the floor laughing so hard, because that one simple statement just got the whole moment over, because he'd been running down Dusty and running down Rich and running down wrestling too, and Dusty pulls up, I have to go. That's it. And the art form is, you don't have to be elaborate. You don't have to be intricate. You just have to be intelligent. And sometimes that's the hardest thing for people to be. Continuing on, going 26 before the top of the hour. MaBo, I'm going to point in your direction, bringing up managers for a minute. And their
contract. Don't waggle that thing in front of me.
There you go.
Well, I mean, I've always thought, I've always been, fascinated with managers. And, as I got older, I was like, well, heck, if I ever do somehow, make it into the business, I was like, I know I'm never going to be in shape enough to be in the ring. But, I people have always, I don't see it, and I'm not trying to pat my own back here. I'm not Barry Horowitz. But people have always sat there and said, well, why aren't you in acting or on the stage or, doing so, you want to be in pro wrestling. Why don't you ever become a manager or anything? It's just like, I don't know, but I've always fascinated by managers as much as I liked Warrior and staying with their face paints and the muscles, and of course Hogan with the Hogan with the thing and the brother and all the other stuff, Macho Man, that's some intensity I don't think will ever be duplicated.
No.
But it was always the managers that fascinated me, and I wish I still had these notebooks, and I might. But I would always sit there and study the managers and study who their clientele was, however you want to phrase it. Like if you want to go back to the to the foam finger era. If you look at Heenan always had they were just like, it was an eclectic group, but they were all, big men, or, at least, chiseled or whatever. That's why when he started managing the Red Rooster, I was like, that guy does not fit. But, he had the big guys like Bundy or Stud or even Andre, or he had, the muscular guys like Hercules. He had Hercules at one point, if I remember correctly, or Rude. You know what I'm saying? He always had those guys that you could look at and be like, I could see them legitimately being a threat. Of course, when you're little, everybody was a threat to Hogan, but if you look at it now, from an aged perspective, those guys, any one of those guys legitimately could have been world heavyweight champion. But then you had Fuji. Fuji always had the wild man, so to speak, or the face painted, just like the guys that would really legitimately, could scare you, like Demolition, Powers of Pain, when he was managing those, and he even started wearing the face paint. Or he would have like the Barbarian. Well, I guess technically that was not Barbarian. Who am I thinking of? Because he didn't have Barbarian. Berserker. He always had the sort of the off kind of like wacky guys. Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart always had the. Jimmy Hart's guys were always just annoying, like Jimmy Hart.
Neidhart.
Yeah, like all of them, like the Rougeaus, Danny Davis, Honky Tonk Man. Hart's guys always reflected Jimmy Hart. They were just annoying, no matter what. You're just like, ugh.
Do me a favor. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this real quick. And Wick, I'm going to ask you to hold your answer till after the break. Do you think, now going back in time for this one, because remembering the fact that Albano managed so many tag team champions, and Fuji picked up in my opinion, I feel that Fuji picked up that gauntlet. Agree or disagree?
Well, I mean, you got to look at it like this. Who did Fuji have after? Okay, Albano. He was definitely the tag team manager of champions. That's for sure. Can't nobody argue that. But Fuji, I mean, he had. Are we talking about champions or just managed tag teams in general?
Both.
Well, I mean, other than Demolition. I mean, can you really count Owen and Yoko?
Can you count?
Really count them?
Didn't Fuji manage the Powers of Pain?
He managed them, but they never had the tag titles.
Mm.
Not in WWE. I don't even think in WCW.
Yeah, they did.
Are you sure?
I think they did, because didn't they defeat the Road Warriors?
I'm not going to say WCW, because technically it was still NWA.
Correct.
So, I don't think they ever did.
I know they were in one of the hottest feuds with the Road Warriors back in '87 before they bugged.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, I agree about that. My favorite thing was, and I don't have it anymore, but there was actually, I had a PWI that, and I believe this too, because, this seemed as legit as possible. Powers of Pain talking about why they jumped from NWA at the time to WWF in the PWI article, and they were talking about, I think they were supposed to be scheduled to take on the Warriors in a scaffold match or something. And
right.
They're like, nah, we're good. And they were like, we left. We didn't want to deal with that. Bye. See ya.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure there was contracts or money or whatever in real life, but like when you're, especially when you're young and kayfabe is, still as strong as it was, you're like, oh, I can believe that, because anybody that remembers the Road Warriors Midnight Express and Cornette falling and Bubba missing and, all that. Anybody remembers those, then yes, you could definitely believe that even as badass as they were, the Powers of Pain, you were just like, yeah, I can believe they would leave.
Yeah, but I also was ill about that due to the fact that it robbed the fans of one hell of a payoff match on their feud.
Oh, I agree.
Because remember, they were. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Because they were still working toward the concept of payback after the bench press challenge when Animal's eye was injured. Remember that storyline?
Yeah. I do. I remember because he used to rock the yellow hockey mask, very similar to Lord Humongous, but it was yellow, and they would have the spider web similar to what he would have face paint.
The face paint, yeah.
Yeah, but to say that, say Fuji took, no, because, I mean, you know, when it was when he was with Yoko and Owen, you still had, Clarence Mason, and, you know, so I don't know if you could really count, and Cornette, so I don't know if you could count that. I would not say he was a man, he picked up the Albano reigns. I would have to say, I'd have to disagree, because to me, all he ever had was Demolition, unless there was somebody else, which I don't think there was. I don't think there was. Because pretty much after Demolition and Powers Paint, all those guys disappeared, and they pulled him from, you know, when he sold the contracts. He disappeared for a while, and then he came back with the shaved head and wearing the kimono and coming out with Yoko.
Right.
So I'm gonna have to respectfully disagree.
Tell you what, gonna head for the bottom of the hour break. Hour 1 in the books on this Sunday thing, and we'll be back on Beyond Ringside Live right after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling fans from around the world, I'm Lightning Mike Quackenbush, the master of 1,000 holes, and you're locked in for Beyond Ringside.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Smart Rage from Wrestle Rage Radio, coming to you from the Beyond Ringside Radio Network. Join myself and my co-host, Super Stan Grubb, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern as we present Wrestle Rage Radio, where we rant and rave on everything in the world of pro wrestling. Sometimes we'll have a guest. Sometimes it'll be just me and Stan BSing about the sport that we love, pro wrestling. Check us out. Tune in Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, only on the Beyond Ringside Network.
This is Merciless Ray Mercer, Olympic gold medalist and board member of Find the Dream, and you're locked into Beyond Ringside.
Sunday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern here on BeyondRingside.com. Join us for the Midnight Black Mass. Myself, the Reverend Dan Wilson, brings you the dark gospel of professional wrestling, uncensored, unedited, uncut, and not for the faint of heart. You can find out more about us at youtube.com/pottyhumor or subscribe at Potty Humor on iTunes and Stitcher today.
Everybody, it's your car's finest, the chocolate ice cream dream, the backcourt bandit, Sugar Dunkerton, letting you know that you are locked in to Beyond Ringside. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Do not turn that dial.
Hour 1 in the books. Hour 2 underway on this 7th day of June. Wow. I cannot believe this year is almost halfway over. My God, it's been nuts so far. Welcome back into Beyond Ringside Live. Yours truly, the Magic City Motor Mouth Fast Eddie Layne over here, welcoming back in tag team partner Mark MaBo Bowman.
Well, I didn't want to say anything because, well, I was just going to say how many times he'd go for it, but since Eddie's cussed on the air at least 3 times that I know of in the past hour, I'm going to say, what's up, bitches?
Chase Pearson isn't on the show this week. What the hell are you talking about?
No, but I did see him and his good lady wife about a week or 2 ago. I let them actually, I didn't even know it was them at first until I saw, what's his new company?
Alabama After Dark.
Yes. I was on my job, and I was coming back from a delivery, and, okay, I'm not going to lie, I stopped at the comic book store.
I saw that coming.
There was no traffic behind me, so I kind of stopped to let this red SUV Jeep-looking thing go ahead, because they'd been sitting there for a minute, and it goes past me, and I was like, well, that logo and cityscape looks familiar, and then I really kind of started looking at it, and I was like, I think that was Chase.
Yeah.
And so I shot him a message over on Facebook, and he was like, yeah, we were headed to the jewelers over there. I was like, well, shoot, son, if I'd have known that was you, I would have offered, because it was right around lunchtime. I was like, I would have called the office, told him I wasn't going to be in for lunch, and I treated him. But, yeah, it's just sometimes you bump into people in the weirdest of places.
Yeah, very true.
I know, I don't think any of our listeners will really know this name, but Oakley McMichaels, used to be associated with a Global Championship Wrestling, for one, but also a couple other companies around the, state of Alabama was one of, I can't remember the name of their group, but I'm sure if I say the name Goth or Big Daddy Goth, and if Sidney Hinton is listening, Sidney Hinton just probably started laughing.
He did.
Which I know Sidney's probably listening. But, he was part of the, I think it was the Thrill Kill Clique, if I remember correctly. But anyway, it was him, Scott Resner, Pimp Juice, Brian Sterling. I actually bumped into Oakley today on the way back from visiting my mom, checking up on her. She had rotator cuff surgery. And, they wanted something to eat, and they wanted chicken, so there's a Bojangles chicken in Moody, not too far from my grandmother's house, so I ran and got him some chicken. And he didn't recognize me until I said, Oakley, it's MaBo. And he kind of took a step back, and he was like, I didn't even realize it was you. He thought I was some redneck that came to beat him up. But, you meet people in the business of pro wrestling. Sometimes, you develop great relationships, friendships, whatever, if you will, depending on, because some people sit there and tell you there's no real friendship in pro wrestling. I would have to disagree. But, it's just, you meet these people along the way, and then, you don't see them for a couple of years, and then you go to get chicken, and, they're managing the hell out of a Bojangles and all that, so just kind of weird. Have no idea why I got on that point, other than the fact, because you cussed at least 3 times, so I get to say, bitch.
And real quick, want to say a very special hello, and I know he's listening, to Mr. MCO Chase Pearson. I normally say Magic City Online, but of course the new company is Alabama After Dark. Check it out sometime when you get the opportunity. Also want to say a very special hello to good friend Chris Price with the Beer Trail podcast. You heard their reference during the first break of the afternoon. If you get a chance to, check it out. Gotta love it. You will definitely enjoy it. Also, to our BR family member, the Reverend Dan Wilson, the brand new edition of Get Ya Pulls is very much available for comic book fans. And I was going to break something loose while Wick was still on the phone because I think he might have gotten just as much of a kick out of it as MaBo would, if I say this right. There is a difference between being a manager and a valet. Being a valet is the equivalent of reading the Sunday funnies. Being a manager is being the equivalent of understanding a top-tier comic book. There is a difference between writing a one-day wonder on the Sunday funnies and having the ability to write continuity in a comic book form. There's a difference there. You got to think about it. Trust me on this one. A couple of notes I want to throw out there real quick. Number one, congratulations to the 78 Furniture Row NASCAR team, the Cup team this afternoon. I had it mapped in my head. I just didn't write it down. Martin Truex Jr. winning Pocono, the Tricky Triangle, earlier this afternoon. Tremendous. He's been sitting in the top 5 for the majority of the season, but did not have a win. This pretty much validates it all the way across the board. He's been running great for the last few weeks. I do appreciate Martin Truex Jr. all the way back to when he was running, even before he was running with DEI. Dale Earnhardt Incorporated along with Dale Jr. Dale Jr. top 15 finish. Carl Edwards top 20 finish. I was happy to see all that come to pass. And there was a line that I really I didn't get this one yet, and I forgot the fact that I wanted to get it. Kurt Busch laid out another great soundbite earlier today, and I have to give credit on this one because he said it perfectly. He said, "We did a lot of things well today. We just didn't do a lot of things extremely well today." It's like, boom, right there. You can't argue with that because, we were good. We just weren't that good. Plain and simple. I'm going to throw you a question before you haven't had a chance to really air your thoughts about the Elimination Chamber network preview from last week, 999 preview. But I'm going to ask. Stop it. Stop it.
Okay. You don't like it, neither do the guinea pigs. All 5 of them just ran for cover when I hit that high note.
Now,
let's put it this way: they left their food bowls. They were like, "We're getting the hell out of here. We don't know what that was. Please, God, don't let him do it again."
WWE has taken 3 letters and made them into a franchise.
NXT.
It is well purported that Triple H is the primary mind behind NXT and has surrounded himself with intelligent people who have a clue about wrestling. Regal, Pierce, Jacobs, Del Rey. Keep going. I'm going to ask this question.
Mm-hmm.
the reference was made about another 3-letter entity that ended up being absorbed by WWE. Their first time around having caught lightning in a bottle.
ECW.
With the exception of the barbed wire and flaming tables and the weapons matches. Take that out of the equation. The thing that I remember Extreme Championship Wrestling for was finding a way to bring new faces to the national forum, bringing new talents, innovative styles and ideals, and putting them forth in a positive way and letting the fans have an opportunity to wrap their heads and their hearts around these individuals and the company as a whole. Notice you will never hear fans chanting, WWE, WWE, WWE. Not going to happen.
Well, one, it just doesn't really...
It doesn't flow.
Very well.
You can't even go WWE or WWE.
Actually, if you could pull a Kozlov and go double E.
Double E. But the thing about it is, and I'm going to lay this one out there, and I want your input on this, and I'll follow up. Has Triple H managed to do with NXT what Vince couldn't do with ECW after he bought it? And that is catch lightning in the bottle, religiously speaking. MaBo?
I can tell you this much. That's about all I can tell you.
Okay.
That much. Now, I got distracted for a minute. Here's the thing. You're right. ECW, it not only had it was a forum for new faces, but it was also an opportunity for people to come back and get repackaged, i.e. Al Snow.
Yeah.
It was also a great place for veterans to come back and impart the knowledge that they had to help out the new generation, i.e. the Funker, Terry Funk. And that's kind of what's going on with NXT. WWE is, they're bringing back, I mean, it just feels weird to say veterans when using the name Rhino or Brian Kendrick. But essentially, those guys have had some careers.
Yes.
But, you know, they not only are bringing them back, you know, to help impart knowledge and help train and establish, you know, this new group, but also to help get them over on TV. I mean, that little run that Baron Corbin and Rhino, you know, their little feud that they had going that culminated at the last NXT special, you know, and at what point did Baron Corbin become heel? I mean, people used to cheer the crap out of him.
Right.
But, you know, it's just another prime example, you know, that, and that's what originally they were wanting to do with Joe, Samoa Joe. I hope they don't change the name, because there is rumor that they might change his name. Now, I think that would be a huge mistake. You know, but, you know, it's just that was originally what they were going to do with him, was bring him in to, you know, he could still do his indie dates and everything, but have him sort of help enhance the brand, not just the roster, but the brand itself. And, you know, also still impart all the knowledge he has. I mean, Joe's wrestled all across the globe, from coast to coast and border to border. So, you know, I mean, I couldn't think of a better person to have in that locker room. And it's like Triple H kind of stepped away from what Vince was doing as far as developmental, when it was, let's say, 30% skill, 70% muscle-bound look. And that paradigm has shifted greatly.
Yes.
because look at all the talent. You know, Vince was known for. Hell, he brought in. If anybody remembers Brackus, you know, big German guy. Vince brought him in. Guy was, you know, cut like a Greek god, or a German god. Couldn't wrestle or cut a promo to save his life. Cough button. Even with a manager, you know, I don't even think they ever gave him a manager.
No.
To me, and when I saw, you know, this guy when I saw Rob Terry, I was like, is that Brackus' little brother? But you know, they sent Brackus to ECW to try to help him get over.
Didn't work.
Didn't work. If Paul Heyman, my client Brackus, if Paul Heyman can't do anything with you, especially in the heyday of ECW, I'm not going to say there's not any hope for you.
But there's no hope for you.
But well, I'm going to say no hope. But you're on life support. You know what I'm saying? Your career's on life support. But Trips has, and I can call him that because we don't communicate at all. He is sitting there looking at, and a prime example is Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens. You look at Kevin Owens. You look at any of the guys that Vince brought in, and try to push as a major talent, like a legitimate major talent, not food for the Hogan machine to you know, defeat and get more buys. But you look at Kevin Owens. Triple H looked past the build, which, let's be honest, Kevin Owens looks like he's dropped some weight.
Yes.
Not gonna lie. Which once again makes me believe that Kevin Owens and Dan Sawyer might be the same person. You know, they're both, you know, beards, dropping weight, crappy tattoo. But
Kevin Owens has a bigger beard than Sawyer does. Sawyer rocks more of an expanded goatee, kind of like I'm rocking right now.
Trust me, for years we all saw Dan's beard inside of his tights. But anyway.
It
was horrible too. It was always a good
just
joke.
so bad.
It was always like, well, I wonder if we can tell what Dan Sawyer's religion is. But anyway, Triple H looks past the physique. He goes, that guy's good on the mic. That guy could, you know,
the guy can move.
He's got the potential. Huh?
The guy can move.
Exactly, for a big man? Yes. Definitely. Same thing with, like, Neville. Neville, you know, it's like Triple H. It's like Wicked pointed out. Chiseled from marble. You know, he's got all the skills. Triple H sees it, but, you know, how tall is Neville? He's under 6 feet. So, Triple H is actually looking at the indies and not at... now, for some reason, though, when it comes to divas, they're still going after fitness models. Are they bringing in quality divas, though, as far as from the indie scene? Yeah, they do have a few. Bayley, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch. But then you also the ones that they're bringing in that don't really have a career or a background, and training them under the watchful eye of Sarah Del Rey.
Yay!
And even then, I mean, Charlotte. Charlotte never wrestled. All the closest she had was, you know, WCW would throw to her and the rest of the family sitting ringside during one of Rick's matches. Charlotte, I mean, you know, she might have learned a little something from Dad, you know, whatever. But Charlotte never wrestled, but really wrestled. She didn't have an independent career. Alexa Bliss never really had an independent career. Carmella, very little. But you look at what Sarah Del Rey and the rest of the trainers are doing with the women that came from the independents, and even the ones that are fitness models or whatever. What's that new one? Dana Brooke?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, ripped. I don't think she's ever really had much of a career. But they feel that she's ready. They've already put her on TV. You know, she was heck, I think wasn't she in the tag match or something on the last special?
I don't remember.
Mine's a little fuzzy right now. Too much chicken. So.
Did you eat it or choke it?
Oh, if I was choking the chicken on the air, you would know.
And we'd be in commercial break.
This would be a very, very quick episode, giggity. So, but that's the thing is Triple H is, I think that he's looking past and saying, okay, well, it's almost like, we were talking about earlier, those who don't, who don't study the past are doomed to repeat it. I think Triple H is like, okay, we don't really need these muscleheads. They look great on TV. They look phenomenal, but they can't, they can't do anything. We're wasting our time. We're spinning our wheels. So maybe we don't need the 6'4", ripped, god of wrestling who has zero charisma, and we're going to have to start from the bottom training. Why don't we get somebody who might not be as tall, like an Adrian Neville, might not be in as good a shape, like a Kevin Steen, might not be as, big, like just, width-wise, as somebody, and get Sami Zayn. Let's instead of trying to start all the way from the bottom and build up, Legos, why don't we take what's popular, build on that, put our own spin on it, see how it goes?
Yeah.
And I think that, and like I said, this is all just my opinion, but I think that's what Triple H is doing, and so far, it's working. I mean, if you you can sit there and point to a lot of guys that they brought in, or who should be debuting very soon, and say, okay, that's not working. I don't think there's really anybody who, so far, that you can. I mean, Kevin Owens, working. Hideo Itami, working. Finn Balor, working. Bayley, working. Sasha, working. I almost said ACH, good God. Uwa Nation, when he gets on, he's already got... I mean, when they showed him on the NXT special, people were just chanting for him. Guy he has not been stepped 1 foot in a WWE NXT ring other than training. He has not had a match, and people know who that is. They haven't even named him, and they were chanting his name. I mean, there's look at the ladies, Becky Lynch. I think Becky Lynch, if towards the end of Sasha's run, I think Becky Lynch is going to get the title.
Right.
I would prefer Bayley, just and that's the other thing, and it kind of goes back to the Adam Rose, and I'm really worried about this. When they go to bring Bayley up, what she does in NXT gets over phenomenally. I'm worried if it will catch on with the main roster, because I've seen what has happened with Adam Rose. I think what Bayley does is great. I think, just the whole, and it's kind of like what Wicked said about the not say happy go lucky, but the positivity. We see what they did with the New Day, although that's a whole other critter in itself, and I don't mean nasty. But you had somebody, Adam Rose, coming out happy, great B wrestling or whatever, and then I thought it was getting over fine, and then WWE went and put a bunny in there, but we talked about that earlier. But
I never
Bayley,
finished up on that one.
Huh?
I never finished up on that one.
Would you like to finish now?
Finish your point.
Well, my point is like I'm worried about Bayley, and could we have an entire arena, like a huge arena, chanting Bayley's going to hug you? Do you think that the wacky waving and inflatable arm flailing flibbity floobity men, is that going to go over? Is her and her headbands, is that going to get over? Is that
Emma?
Yeah. See, Emma. I once again, that was something that was over. With the bubbles and everything, that was something that was over at NXT. Didn't quite translate. Now they got a heel Emma and a heel Emma, almost like a dilemma. That's actually kind of working pretty good for a form in NXT.
Good.
But I think if you want to try to compare the original ECW to NXT, it was if you take away, like you said, if you take away the violence and the tables and the women and the, dancing with the jigglies, bags, and all that stuff. If you want to break it down to not only putting new fresh faces who know what they're doing, if you about giving them a chance. If you want to talk about introducing new styles of wrestling, so, because remember, ECW, they were bringing in Japanese wrestlers. They were bringing in, huh?
Yes, they were.
Yeah, United Kingdom. They were definitely bringing in Lucha.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say if it wasn't for ECW doing Lucha, WCW would have never picked up Lucha. If Rey Mysterio and Psychosis and Rey Mysterio and Juventud never tore the house down at the ECW arena, the corner of Swanson and Rittner, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, if they would have never had those matches, then you would have never had. I can almost guarantee you would have never had. You would have never had Lucha Libre in WCW, and then you would have never had such a great cruiserweight division. You would have still had good guys great guys like
Shane Helms.
Guerrero. Well, technically, you could say Guerrero.
Yeah.
He was part of that Lucha movement. Jericho, because of ECW and what he learned down in Mexico, I think you would have had a good WCW Cruiserweight division full of great individuals, but I don't think you would have had a great Cruiserweight division with great individuals. And that's, and then who knows, that could have translated to Mysterio would have never showed up in WWE.
Or Eddie.
We would have, or Eddie, really, technically. And then we would have never had the Mexicools. And I've still got my Psychosis and Super Crazy Mexicool figures somewhere.
Yeah, that was actually fun.
You gotta love stereotypes.
Tell you what, when we come back, I'll go ahead and finish up my little statement on the Adam Rose situation in WWE right now, where I feel that WWE has completely and totally dropped the ball. Hang with us, because we're headed for the home run round as Beyond Ringside Live rolls on right after this.
This is Jim Cornette. You are locked into the show of all time, Beyond Ringside.
When planning your next party or special event, insist on the best. Full Range Entertainment is a professional entertainment company providing a full range of services. From professional disc jockeys and MCs to catering and photography, when the details of your special day must be perfect, call us first. Wedding receptions, corporate parties, school functions, birthday celebrations, and more. We also have Birmingham's largest selection of karaoke tracks available. With over 40 years combined experience, Full Range Entertainment can provide you with the talent and professionalism you need and deserve to make your next event one you'll never forget. For more information on the full range of services we offer, call 533-HITS. That's 533-HITS. Or check us out on our website at fullrangeentertainment.com.
If you're listening to this, then you're listening to the sensational Mickey Knuckles, and you are locked in Beyond Ringside.
Hey, this is the voice, Ted Guinness, and I'm inviting you to tune in every Thursday night after Cause and Effect and after SmackDown goes off the air for The Show, the only show on Beyond Ringside dedicated to all things WWE, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and your phone calls. That's The Show, every Thursday night after SmackDown goes off the air. We go live right here on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network and the Beyond Ringside app.
It's me. It's that D to the O to the double G, always sitting next year, near doggy style, the road dog Jesse James, and you're locked in to Beyond Ringside. Get it? Got it? Good.
Howdy, friends. This is the Magic City Motormouth, Fast Eddie Layne, with your invitation to join yours truly, along with Mark MaBo Bowman and the Oracle of Ominous, the Wicked Nemesis, every Sunday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Pacific, for Beyond Ringside Live. Wrestling, mixed martial arts, sports talk, and a whole lot more. Keep your eyes open on BeyondRingside.com for all of upcoming show information, and of course, catch us on social media as well. Until then, we'll see you this Sunday, 6:30 Eastern, for Beyond Ringside Live on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network.
To Hector Camacho Jr., and you are locked in with Beyond Ringside. It's junior time.
I'm just a happy person right now because I'm actually watching the LA Kiss Arena football team playing right now, which I'm actually never able to see.
Is that the lingerie football chicks?
Say what?
Is that lingerie football?
No, it's not. It's actually the Arena Football League team owned by Gene Simmons.
Oh.
Yeah, I can see it on. I've got Charter, and I've got their Charter television app, and it's actually I can either watch it through Charter TV or I can watch it through ESPN's app, and I just happen to watch it through ESPN's app. I mean, through Charter's internet site, with the courtesy of my account, and I'm just like, yes, I can see the game as it's happening. I'm a happy person. Even though I can't support them in ratings because Charter doesn't carry ESPN3, which is what they're on, amazingly enough. You'd think they would have it, but they don't.
On the air?
Yeah, we are. And I was about to say,
I didn't even, you didn't really transition in, so I was just like, are we on air?
No, I was actually, yes, welcome back into Beyond Ringside Live on a Sunday night. This 7th day of June, going 10 minutes after the top of the hour, headed for the home run round. Want to remind everybody, coming up in about 51 minutes from right now, Wrestle Rage Radio with Smart Rage and Stan takes over. And at 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern, in the words of Darrell Walter, you better strap those belts on tight. The Midnight Black Mass with Reverend Dan Wilson, and I have the privilege and the fun of making a cameo appearance on this week's episode. Oh boy, this is not for the faint at heart, and it is part of the all-new Beyond Ringside late night block. So yes, as we hit 11 p.m. Eastern time, 10 Central, we can officially call it late night. Even the West Coast is sitting back going, what? So, before I go into the Adam Rose, tell you what, let me go ahead and do this because I wanted you to talk about what's going on with the Chikara system that you've been paying attention to that I haven't had a chance to, and I really feel bad about it. Shoot me, I promise. I'll feel it later. As it stands, I did see a little bit of what Adam Rose was doing before the main roster. I was guardedly optimistic about the advent of Adam Rose onto the main roster. I saw the potential. I saw the ideal in place and the idea in place. Both do apply, kids. I also saw how WWE did what they do best on a marginal character on the screen. They do whatever it takes to screw it up. So, do I blame creative on this? Yes. Do I blame Vince? Yes. Because I genuinely think the character could have flown further than it did if it had been handled properly. Because when you start tinkering with a formula that works, there is a strong chance that it will no longer work. And that's being legit. If they could have let Adam Rose and the party posse, the Rosebuds, stand on the merit that was in place, without the Rabbit interfering or anything else, you could have used the Rabbit as a novelty character without building it into an in-ring character. And Rose could have stood alone as a character in WWE. Okay, this is where I break from the norm. I can look a lot of the times at the way a character is presented, t-shirt cannon and all. She doesn't need a cannon with arms like that and guns like those. Sorry, LA Kiss cheerleader. There's a lot to be said for a woman who can wear black spandex with a chain belt. If the roster split were in place, and here's your moment of zen, and this is where WWE continues to miss it, because they're proving it on NXT. If the roster split had been in place and Adam Rose was a SmackDown-based character, party posse and all, they could have had Adam Rose on an extended run and pushed him all the way to the top. But no. Because you have everything in place where the same faces are getting pushed every week on Raw and SmackDown. Secondary characters, which truth be told, that's what they are. Secondary characters suffer. And they're used for cannon fodder rather than for genuine build-up. I still sit back and say they screwed the pooch on the Ascension. they could have had the second coming of the Road Warriors if they'd have put them with a good manager.
And not have them say something stupid.
There you go. Let the manager talk.
Yeah.
Let the mouthpiece do the mouthpiece's job. These two guys did not need to say word one for the first 6 months. And then, kind of like when Animal or Hawk had Ellering in the early going, because Ellering was the one who did the talking. And then when Hawk and Animal were more comfortable and well coached on the microphone, well, and they kept it simple.
KISS.
Keep it simple, stupid. The fact of the matter stands, the way things break down for WWE as a habit sometimes do themselves more harm than good. And that's the way I look at it with the Adam Rose situation in the main roster. Look, there are some characters that do translate well to Raw. There are characters that translate well to SmackDown. There are some that translate well to both. And there are some that translate well to neither. Is it... Yeah, that's the best way to leave it. Because if something like the roster split were still in place and Adam Rose could actually have time to develop a storyline without the freaking bunny and do things as an entity upon himself or unto himself, yeah, I think the character would have had a lot more staying power. Because the person doing the character had a lot to offer. And in my book still does. There's times when I'd rather see that character on television. I'd rather see the Adam Rose character on television than Ryback, with all due respect.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, legit. Now, that's my major issue, and I'm going to go further into that on Tuesday for Back to Basics and my side of the coin. And there's a lot of ground that I'm going to be covering because there's a couple of rants. The one I was supposed to do today and I didn't do it. So that's going to be saved till Tuesday during the opening hour at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. So get ready. It's going to get a little bit abrasive, like you've never heard that before from me. MaBo, you've been keeping an eye on Shakara and their video on demand service.
Hold on, before we move on to that.
Yeah.
You know, it's very rare that I will stop you for anything, Shakara. But let me do say this, you know, granted, this is about the, sorry, I gotta get comfortable here, kids. I'm old.
Shut your mouth, white boy.
The Intercontinental, Chamber. I will say this. I am just glad that it did not go back on Sheamus or it did not go back on Barrett. Would I like to see it on Ziggler? Hell yes. But I think Dolph Ziggler is destined for greater things and he doesn't need it. Be great to see it back on him. Gold around Dolph Ziggler's waist is a must. Not for his character, but for the world of professional wrestling or sports entertainment or whatever. That man deserves to have gold around his waist. He has busted his butt. He has put up with enough crap. Sure, he's spoken his mind and probably got punished for it, but he has weathered the storm. He needs to have gold around his waist. If you're going to bring back the hardcore title, bring back the hardcore title. The man needs a gold around his waist 24/7. Mark Henry, has Mark Henry ever had the Intercontinental title?
I don't remember.
I don't either. That shows you how long Mark Henry's been around. You know, I'm glad they didn't slap it on him, though. Who else was left? Who else was in the match there? Bebo? Because that's 4 people. Who were the other 2? R-Truth. We know that's not going to happen. And, let's see. Ryback, Sheamus, Barrett. No, I guess that was it. Mark Henry. No, because how many people? 6? Yeah. So, I mean, I'm glad. The WWE didn't put it back on Sheamus or Barrett, who has, to me, they have worn out their welcome in the land of Intercontinental. That's just me. They have worn out their welcome in the land of second tier. I don't know if Sheamus deserves to have another heavyweight title run. I have my opinions on Sheamus. Not taking away anything from him, what he does in the ring, or the person that he is. I'm sure, he's a great guy. Barrett, I think he's been with WWE for a hot second. And I still hate to say that he's at least another year or two away from even being thought about title, the big strap title contention. So I'm glad WWE is taking a chance with putting the Intercontinental title on Ryback. But, if you weren't going to put it on Ziggler, then saying it's great that Ryback has the title out of the other four, minus Ziggler, of course, that would be four. Let's do our math, kids. That's like saying, hey, it was awesome that I got frostbite and only lost my big toe, as opposed to having diabetes and having my whole foot cut off.
Right.
So, but still, I'm glad that they're finally going to take a championship chance with old Ryback. So, but as you were saying,
Chikara.
Yeah.
Chikara.
I've heard of them.
VOD.
Well, can you say VOD?
Yes, I didn't say VD. I said VOD.
I mean, I guess it is a VOD service.
Video.
It's also a streaming service as well.
Yeah, video on demand though.
No, I know, but I mean they also have a streaming as well.
Right.
Where they have a little streaming box you could tap, and whatever's playing, you got to watch it. But
kind of like the network.
yes.
Okay.
But they aren't. But you know what? You do not have to pay that exorbitant, ridiculous amount of $9.99. No. You don't have to pay $9.99 for a mere $7.99. $7.99. Yes. You can get you a nice streaming subscription. Just go to ChikaraPro.com. More than 120 events already available.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm not reading that off the screen. And I mean, because if I was reading off the screen, then I'm sure I'd say something like, "Enjoy a wide selection of Chikara events and exclusive for only $7.99 per month. No commitment. Cancel anytime." But no, not me. I'm not reading that.
You wouldn't read off the screen now, would you?
No.
But you were talking about some of the events that some of the past events that they've got up there, video on demand, like former events like King of Trios or Young Lions Cup, a number of the great outings that they've had in Chikara.
Oh yeah, now they don't have all of the King of Trios, and I don't know why. And I'm possibly going to get to the bottom of that when I do my interview on June 20th with Babs from Chikara N15. When I go not live, but when I go chatting with the Chikarmi. So, and that will be up, I'm sure after it gets recorded, take a couple days, because I got a feeling I'll go long-winded.
Of course.
And I'm sure she'll slice away the chuffa, and it'll be up available, and I may or may not, over-exuberantly plug this show. Not saying I would. I'm just saying we've had several, stars from Chikara, both past and present, and might get brought up. Just saying, might do it. I might mention it.
What cartoon character is that? I can't remember.
It's when still Family Guy when Stewie's like.
That's it, Stewie. Okay, that is Stewie. I hate myself for forgetting that.
And there's also my favorite. I like to throw at Tiffany's girls, and I'm like, "You want a soda? Let me get a soda. Oh, come on, let's get a soda."
Hold on, let me see. I have a message for myself. There you go. That's actually Key Harvick during the pre-race earlier today in Pocono. Michael Waltrip was doing the grid walk, and he came upon Kevin Harvick and his young son. And Michael was doing some one-liners, and Kevin just whispered in Key's ear and said, "Tell him get over it." And Key just looked. He put the Michael Waltrip put the microphone right in Key's face, and Key said, "Get over it." I'm going, score 6 points, NASCAR. Continue, Chick Army.
But yeah, as far as some of the events they've got the first Chikara King of Trios, which I happen to own on DVD. They've got that available. They've got their first ever event that they ever did. That's available. They've got several of the Tag World Grand Prix. They've got a lot of their early stuff. They've got a bunch of the Young Lions Cups. They've got the Young Lions Cup where two good friends of ours, Cabana Mandan and Christian Haim. Yeah, when they competed in the Young Lions Cup 5, they've got their matches or their shows, actual shows that were on. They got a lot of if not all of them, really. I think. No, I don't see the one from Ring of Honor, but they've got a lot of the Cyberneticos. That, King of Trios and Cyberneticos always my favorite. Right now, I'm on the what one could term as the BDK years or the BDK run.
Right.
Because I started with Cybernetico Incredible, and it's just kind of to understand. And I'm not going to break kayfabe and say names, but to understand the front office of Chikara and what they lay out. When they plant seeds, man. Like, you could, that led all the way up to the Brooder Chef. You could, go back and look at the seeds that were planted with the Eye of Tyr. And then that eventually would lead into, after the Brooder Chef, that would lead into Sin Bodhi and the Dark Army, which became the Batiri, which the Eye of Tyr also would come back into play with setting Delirious free and being destroyed, but then bringing it right back to the end of last year, the season when they came back, where Delirious, even though he lost a Loser Leaves Chikara match to Ultramantis, he used that to turn Wicked and Frightmare, turn them Rudos, and now they've got a whole new different look, and cough button, they've got one of those too. But that's leading into what I think is going to be the big storyline. Either it'll probably become a little bit more prominent because I would say this year's season is more focused on Challenge of the Immortals, but you're going to start seeing more of Naz Muldoon, the man who Wicked is being a champion for. Wicked, of course, the current grand champion. And that all comes back to tying in with, that seed that was planted with the Eye of Tyr so long ago when Ultramantis decided to say, years ago, when he decided to take control of Delirious. Mm-hmm. But even if you want to do a little bit shorter than that, like I said, I started with Cybernetico Incredible, and was just kind of watching it. What's funny is it was Sarah Del Rey and I can't remember the young lady's name. One of the Joshi girls had taken on Daisy Hayes and I can't remember them. I can't remember. I'm having a brain fart right now. I could have told you this yesterday. Anyway, they had a tag match. Del Rey, and that's another great thing. You hear us bring up the name Sarah Del Rey. You see the name Sarah Amato or Sarah Del Rey brought up in context with NXT and training the current roster down there of the ladies. You can go to Chikara. Go to there's called Chikaratopia. You can go to that, get the subscription. You can see all her matches in there, or majority of her matches in there, from pre-Brooder Chef to Brooder Chef to post-Brooder Chef. See the phenomenal match she had. But you see this little seed planted in the Cybernetico of that year, where Daisy Hayes is in the back. Cuts back in the locker room. Daisy Hayes is frustrated and talking about wanting better competition, more competition. Sarah Del Rey comes back there and kind of gets in her face, and she's like, they're talking about how we're I'm faster than this person, we're bigger than this person, we're better than this person, and then she goes, you and I need to team. She's like, you and I need to change some stuff. So she makes an allusion, and she goes, and there's something going on that we need to be a part of. And then she tells the cameraman, she's like, but you're not going to get to hear about that right now. Well, that took place at Cybernetico Incredible, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you skip ahead past throwing life's instructions away, if you scoot ahead to Three Fisted Tales, that would be the season, what season was that? Anyway, that would be the season finale for that year. That was the year, that was the season that the Brooder Chef debuted, and lo and behold, Sarah and Daisy joined the Brooder Chef. And if you go, like I said, if you go back to that Cybernetico, that was what they were talking about. That was what they were talking about being a part of. When Quackenbush asks from that Cybernetico, because Carpenter Ant won that. He goes, he comes to Tim Donst. He goes, where did Carpenter Ant learn the reverse Chikara special? You're the only one I taught that to. Tim Donst just starts laughing and goes, he's from the future. Turns out both Donst and Carpenter Ant, who was revealed to be Pinky Sanchez, part of the Brooder Chef, which they were saying was the future of Chikara. It's those little seeds that they love to plant.
Oh, God, yeah.
That I just find amazing. I also find a good friend of mine who I met through a podcast years ago, and I still talk to from time to time, Chris McGinnis, also known as Boney the dog. I see him on just about every Chikara show. Like, I'm sitting there watching, and I'm like, there's Boney. You watch another show. There's Boney.
Well,
Or
dude, if I had the money, I would. If I had the money, I would send you to Chicago next week.
Oh no, dude! I'm never the person to, and people start not Indiegogo, not Kickstarter, because Kickstarter's for movies and books. What is the GoFundMe? I'm never going to be one of those persons who sits there, and I would never be the person to selfishly start a GoFundMe. Now, if it was for a friend or a family member who down on their luck or needed to raise money for something because they've lost their house or whatever, I would do that in a heartbeat. But I would never selfishly start one for myself. And if I find out if any of you guys do it, I will kick each and every one of you in the balls.
What if it's a female?
But I'm sure they'll have them. They got internets. But there has been a time or two, especially with this year coming up, I was like, it would hurt me to do it, but I've thought about starting a GoFundMe to raise funds to send me to this year's Chikara King of Trios. But I'm not going to do that because there are people out there in this world who need money more than I do. But another funny thing is just like watching, seeing my friends, seeing Yolanda from Gimmick Tee, seeing Boney, seeing my buddy Mike Irizarry, Wiggly Cito, or just Cito now. Just seeing all these guys that I got to talk to via social media or what have you, seeing them sit in the crowd, or believe it or not, Eddie, you can go back and look, especially during the BDK years or right before the BDK season, you could see a young Jakob Hammermeyer as part of the ring crew.
Right.
I saw him a couple times. I think that's Jakob. Veronica Ticklefeather. I swear, there is a woman that's out there as part of the Chikara crew. She grabs the ring gear or whatever. I swear up and down that's her. So it's just kind of funny. But yeah, right now I'm doing the the BDK run. It started with Incredibile, but it really kicked off at the end of Three Fisted Tales. A Touch of Class would have been the first full show with them on there. And spoiler alert, that's where Lince Dorado turns on them.
Right.
But for some reason, it's not playing. It's not a perfect thing. The network, they got millions of dollars behind them, and they still have glitches.
Right.
So it's not able to play, but that's fine. I'm on mint condition right now, and they've got, I would say, it runs all the way through the King of Trios, all the way up. Their Cybernetico, like they've got that entire season, which I think it ends with the Germans. Because they usually end in November, December, depending on the weather.
Right.
So, and then it picks up with, February, Cauldron of Hate. But yeah, they've got, the Brooder Chef was still around, but it's not as prominent. I just wish they would have, they also got, for those of you who want to see it, they've got Ashes. They got the Ashes of Chikara movie. And the first show from when they came back from their hiatus, You Only Live Twice. There are some, and that's just me, I guess, being greedy, but I would love to see, like the Gekido years, like when they were fighting with Gekido, which was right before the shutdown. Sort of the years before that led up to that season or two that led up to the shutdown of Chikara when Wink Vavasour was put in place after Dieter von Steigerwalt was removed. When it started that whole 2 seasons or so worth with the Colony Extreme Force and the Chikaranomics, and I would like to see those because they've got High Noon, the end of the 12 Large Summit. They go all the way up, and it's even those aren't complete, seasons. But it's still, that's just me. It's just me being nitpicky. They've got a lot of great stuff. I can't say enough about it. It's it's you and you get to see all these. There's talent. You get to see Claudio Castagnoli, who would go on to be Cesaro. You get to see him. I'm not saying his early days, but you get to see him become, especially when he switches over to Bruder Chef Claudio. You get to see who he would become as far as Cesaro. And I just can't say enough about it. It's definitely worth $7.99.
By the way, real quick, before we head out for the day, I want to remind everybody, for our friends in the Central States area, Logan Square Auditorium is going to be the place to be, 2539 North Kedzie Boulevard. That is this Saturday, 7:30 p.m., June 13th. The Sword of Destiny comes to the Windy City. Hashtag CHIKAGO, Chicago. Matches include Dasher Hatfield taking on the Sicilian psychopath Tommaso Ciampa, the Arcane Horde versus Amasis, Worker Ant, and Ashley Remington.
No Battle Hive.
Eddie Kingston taking on Jaka. The Snake Pit taking on Max Smashmaster and Flex Rumble Crunch. Hallow Wicked Frightmare and
that would be part of the Wrecking Crew. Yeah, a lot of these that Eddie are bringing up are for Challenge of the Immortals, for points in play for that golden opportunity. So, And I think Chicago. I think I'm doing it too. I think they're getting at least 3 or 4 trios matches, Challenge of the Immortal, 3 or 4 Challenge of the Immortal trios matches, if I'm not mistaken.
Wrapping it up real quick, Halloween Frightmare Blind Rage taking on DeBrudersheft, Kevin Condren and Lucas Calhoun, sorry about that, taking on Icarus, son of a bitch. I knew I'd mess that up. Icarus, and how can you mess up Icarus? Oh, God, why did I just have a Phineas in for a moment? Don't do it. You know where my brain went. Icarus and Heidi Lovelace, also Silver Ant taking on Blaster McMassive. Folks, once again, for our friends in Chicago, definitely check it out. Sword of Destiny, June 13th. From Chikara Pro Wrestling. I got to do it. We're over, and I got to make transition for Wrestle Rage. Mark MaBo Bowman, last call, sir.
I'm just going to mix it in with a last call, shout out, whatever. What is it? Shameless plug. The only thing I really say today is today, a little homie of mine celebrated her 8th birthday, and Wicked Nemesis was cool enough to actually call her and wish her happy birthday, and that meant a lot to me. As much as it meant to her, it meant even more to me. But happy birthday, Natalie. I love you. I know you probably won't hear this, but I love you, and I'm glad I got to be a part of your birthday today.
Anything else for last call?
That's it.
I'm going to invite everybody to definitely check in on Beyond Ringside Back to Basics this come Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. There's going to be a lot to cover. Real quick, want to say a very special happy birthday greetings to good friends. Esteban Steve Simmons turning 48, you old turkey. Tomorrow, Monday, also good mutual friend Theodore Tutwiler III, celebrating his birthday this coming Tuesday. And, of course, this coming Wednesday.
That's right, he is. That's right. That's
yeah.
On my Facebook feed. I saw that. That's right. He's on.
And also, a good friend of ours who a lot of people remember from the Cage and Octagon Wars here in Alabama, and also made his debut recently in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. The big ticket, Walt Harris, celebrating his birthday this week. So all 3 of them and a whole lot more. I'm going to be running down more of those this Tuesday on Back to Basics. I'll give everybody the quick rundown in lieu of my last call, which I'm going to do that as a rant that's coming to, or a full-scale My Side of the Coin that's coming Tuesday night. 21 minutes from right now, on the live side, on the 7th day of June, Wrestle Rage Radio with Smart Rage and Stan take over. And, of course, once again at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 Central, 8 Pacific, the Midnight Black Mass with Reverend Dan Wilson and Andrew Alexander. Tuesday, June 9th, Back to Basics, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 6 Pacific. Wednesday, June 10th, The To Be Determined Show, starring the Oracle of Ominous, the Wicked Nemesis, Angie Travis, Clyde Braddock, and a whole lot more. Pro Wrestling Radio Uncensored, and then some. From that vantage point, I'd like to remind everybody that is Wednesday night, the 10th. Start time is 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central, 8 Pacific. Okay, 7 Mountain. From there, oh, wait a minute, sorry. Whoa. I screwed that up. 10 Eastern, 9 Central, 8 Mountain, 7 Pacific. There, I did the math. Okay, leave me alone. On Thursday, June the 11th, the show with Ted Guinness takes over at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central, 8 Mountain, 7 Pacific time. And you got it. The craziness continues all the way through the weekend. A lot is going to depend on next Sunday as to how hard I party next Saturday night at the Garth Brooks concert. I'll just go and say that in advance. I'm going. Y'all can all bite me. I got lucky on a ticket. And for all you people that go through Ticketmaster for nothing more than trying to buy tickets to inflate them and scalp them, I hope you choke on those tickets. Because real fans aren't able to go for the bull-ass pricing that you're charging. Tickets went on sale Friday earlier this weekend for the New Orleans series. 2 shows for Garth sold out in 3 minutes. Second show was added at 10 minutes after the hour. It sold out in 5. Fourth show was added at 20 minutes after 10. It sold out in 5 minutes. Within hours, people were on Ticketmaster, people were on StubHub, charging 4 and 5 and 6 times the face value for the tickets. I hope you people choke on those and have to go to the concert yourself. Because if you're not a Garth Brooks fan, you're going to be in hell. If you're a Garth Brooks fan, it's going to be cool. Because tickets for the event were only $77. I think entities such as Florida Georgia Line, Luke Bryan, Eric Church, a lot of these kids could learn a lesson. When you have a legend who charges that much for his tickets, and you guys are wanting $150 plus, get over it. Keep your eyes open. BeyondRingside.com, the home for all things, including the media page, which is going to be updated later on, probably late tonight or tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. From there, for me personally, at Fast Eddie Layne, Layne, on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook.com/Fast Eddie Layne, and of course, at the home site is FastEddieLayne.com. Catch Mark MaBo Bowman on Twitter. Catch the Oracle of Ominous, the Wicked Nemesis on Twitter, Facebook. The Merchants of Death do have a Facebook fan page, as well as the To Be Determined Show, and at TBD Show over on Twitter. Until next time, for the Oracle of Ominous, the Wicked Nemesis. You going to do this one, or you going to take it?
Okay. Thank you all for joining us. Go out and support your local independent wrestling. The To Be Determined Show this Wednesday night with myself, the Oracle of Ominous, the Wicked Nemesis, Fast Eddie Layne, my better half, Angie Travis, and the Grand Design Clyde Braddock. And don't be something. Go out and do something. No, wait. Don't be a maybe. Be a definite.
Forever forward.
Forever forward.
Sevenfold Saints.
Through sickness and in hell.
No, he's not getting married yet, you moron.
Okay, forever forward.
Sevenfold Saints.
Boldly going where no man has gone before.
No, he's not William Shatner.
These are the voyages of the starship Wicked Prize.
Wicked, nice. At least you didn't call it Wikipedia. For Mark MaBo Bowman.
I got a headache. Can we wrap this up?
I'm trying to. This is the Magic City Motor Mouth Fast Eddie Layne saying until next time, join us right here as we all go beyond ringside. Bye for now.